Start from the beginning.
Yeah, let's start from the top.
At the 9 minutes, 30 seconds.
Mine's
Hey,
just-
Nate, welcome to this podcast. How you doing, man?
It's good. It's good, Brett. Good to see you. Thanks for having me. It's really an honor.
Oh my gosh.
What's up, dude?
It's all good,
weird
man.
being on the other end.
Well, we're talking about you. We're talking about the Swimnerd, how it came into effect. Here we go. Look at that.
It's a beautiful shirt, man.
It is.
People do double takes all the time, you know. They're like, "Ooh, is that a Trump shirt?" Some people root for me, some people don't, but it's funny.
Did you know you were taking a risk when you made it look like a Trump shirt?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it literally said, like, in the Swam magazine articles, it says keep pace clocks great again. Or make pace clocks great again. Or what does that one say? Keep pace clocks great.
Yep. Keep them great.
Yeah, not. I did get one email with some lady that was like, "That's not cool." Whatever. You know, what am I gonna do? You know, it is what it is.
Well, we were talking before we got rudely interrupted by your internet shortage. About how you came about to be the Swimnerd. I mean, you had started off in law enforcement, hey?
Yep. My first job out of college, I majored in criminal justice at ODU, and I got a job as the City of Suffolk police officer because I wanted to be in the FBI. And it didn't take me long. I did some ride-alongs, and I got to be in the detective bureau for a little while and do all what police officers do. And I thought, like, after like 6 months, I'm like, this is not good for me. I'm not into this.
Why? What do you mean? I mean, you had a clear path, obviously, you're in the force. You've got 2.5 years left before you can kind of head to where you want to be in the FBI. Why did you think at that stage it's not for you?
It just was like it's the hardest job in America. I was making $31,000 a year to hang out with the worst people in society for the most part.
You felt like every day you woke up, your life was being threatened.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely scary scenarios for sure. You know what I'm saying? There's no hiding that.
And you never know when they're going to come.
Yeah, I think it's a depressing job, right? You're dealing with people that have made bad decisions, and you got to figure out what's right and what's wrong, or what's true and what's not true, depending on the situation. And it just feels like a lot of the guys that were there for a long time were not real happy campers. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, you meet people like that in every job. Like sometimes you run into a janitor and you're like, that's the happiest janitor I've ever met. Like, how is that person so happy cleaning toilets all day long? But they have a vibe about them. I mean, you go to, I went to the train station in New York the other day, and the lady I was buying a ticket off, I mean, she was just completely miserable. And I tried to cheer her up, and then you meet other people like a train conductor who are having the best time of their life. So it's like in any job, you have those people that are being eaten up by the job, and then there are people who are more than the job. Their spirit is alive. So were there people like that in the force?
Yeah. I was there for such a short period of time. Yeah, it just seemed like a lot of people, most of these guys were divorced. Most of them smoked nonstop, right? They just were not happy in the job. They might just not have been happy in their life. It's a tough job. Like, for the most part, if you're on the beat, you're dealing with some hard situations that are, you just don't feel like I didn't feel like I was making a huge difference,
Yeah.
So
you got pulled into the swim coaching at that point.
Yeah. ODU had an emergency hiring. They needed to hire someone immediately. They didn't have to do a search. I was like that. That's Carol Withis at ODU called me the Swimnerd. Like, I always wanted to do the lineups. I was always researching the next team because I thought strategy was so important, picking the relays and picking what events you were in. And, I coached the summer league team as a college kid, and I did swim lessons, and I did little swim clinics. I did like all the standard stuff that you would do cleaned pools, fixed pumps, did all that. And
Oh, so
it was
Swimnerd was just a kind of a nickname that developed.
it was a nickname.
Right.
And then when I became a club coach, I made it like the award. So at the end of the season, someone would win the Swimnerd award, and it was the award for the person that was just really into swimming, that just was really, really liked swimming. And that's the essence of the name. Obviously, I think everyone, when they hear it, they're like, boom, I got it.
Right.
That's me. Right. And that's what everyone is. I think that's most of the fans of the show would be considered swim nerds. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, in that definition of it, yeah, we all are. It's we love swimming, and it's something that's never left us. It joined us at some point in our early childhood. Most of us around 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, somewhere around there, and then it just never left. It's just always been part of us in some way. And I never looked at myself as someone that couldn't find anything beyond swimming. I always felt like I could if I wanted to, but swimming always just pulled me in, and it seems like that's what it did to you too.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. So like my next job after I got out of coaching, I kind of just got burned out real fast because I was coaching in college. We had a 4-lane pool because we were going through all this transition and renovation. So we were having 3 2-hour practices back to back, double morning practices. And then I was coaching a club team. I was doing 5 mornings every week. I was leaving the house at 4 in the morning. I was getting home at 8:30. I did that for like 4 or 5 years. And I finally was just like, I'm burnt.
Mhm.
And some guy was like, hey, do you want to sell insurance? And I was like, nah, I don't know anything about insurance. I'm not interested in insurance. And he was like, well, it pays really well and you get your own hours and work from home and you'll learn a lot. And I was like, okay, cool. And I got into the insurance business and I learned everything about mostly small business insurance for specific types of businesses, mostly like contractors, funeral homes, auto dealers, your local businesses inside of any local city and community.
Mm.
That's who this insurance carrier focused on, but they also did their own life insurance, their own disability insurance, their own health insurance. We did estate planning, we did buy sell agreements, we did like everything for the small business owner. We did. And so I got like a master's degree in like business, sitting down every day for hours endlessly with all these business owners that started their own businesses that have, created successful businesses. And I just learned so much. It was just insane, right? You're learning how to read financial statements. You're learning how these people are doing their marketing, how they even got into the business. I like the job actually. I like the people aspect of it, and I like the learning of it. Some people say, "Oh, it's insurance." Yeah, it is definitely. It's selling insurance. It's selling insurance, but the business part, I thought was really awesome.
So at this point in time, are you tinkering with
Yeah,
pace
yeah. So
clocks?
this is what I was gonna say. So I quit swimming coaching, and I become insurance Nate,
Yeah.
and I start a Twitter account at the same time, basically July of 2012 is when I started the Twitter handle, and I just started. It was like right before the Olympics. I just started tweeting like incessantly, live results. I'm the guy that sits there on Omega Timing, takes a screenshot, formats it so it looks good, and then tweet it out to everybody, so that during short course world, boom, you hear all the times, hear all the places. You can look at them. You can look at all the splits. Hear the people on the relays. Hear the names and the times of the swimmers, and just live analysis in general, right? Just any sort of knowledge. We just tweeted out, and then I just tried to collect the best content around swimming. So when you go to my Twitter feed, I still look at it every day and usually tweet every day, but it's 10 years in the making almost now. And we've been through multiple Olympics cycles. Like the first Olympic cycle was like, we just started. Then 4 years later, I did the Kickstarter to launch the clock, and I quit insurance. And 4 years after tweeting, I had built this foundation of mostly swim nerds, mostly swim coaches all over the world, that were just following us. I said, hey, like I want to build this clock. Would you guys buy it? And it just the Kickstarter launched.
Where does that come into it, though? I understand the transition between some of these jobs, but I'm still not fully clear on where the clock comes into this.
Yeah. Okay. So, the first idea I actually had was I wanted to do a college recruiting website like College Swimming did, but I felt like at ODU, I couldn't pay the price for the information. So like anyone that was a lower level school didn't have the budget to afford the best recruiting information. So it kind of made it unlevel playing field, like you at Auburn would be like, yeah, whatever. Of course, we're going to get all this recruiting data. And I just wanted to put it out there and basically flip the model around and have people pay like $1. And basically that didn't work. And so I just gave it away for free. And that was like my first thought, like, I'm going to do this. And then my second thought was, well, swim meets should be live. We need live results. And so I spent all this time making this thing called Meetcast, and it didn't work. It didn't freaking work. And so I just shelved it. It was a great idea, right? But I just put it on the shelf. And then I was like, all right, what else can I do? And I just remember sitting on the floor at ODU, and we had just bought 2 timey clocks, the big fancy red ones. And we bought a $500 remote control that like plugged into the side or whatever. And I just wanted to plug in like 10 100s on 130 and watch it go. And you just couldn't do it, man. It was like written in a programming language built in the 1980s by some nerdy guys. And I sat there on that floor for like 2 hours with the other assistant coach, who's my best friend. And we couldn't, after 2 hours, man, we couldn't even program 10 100s at 130.
Wow.
That was years before, right? But that stuck in my head. One, they were so expensive, and two, they were so not useful. All they do is basically count up. Right. So that's when I just started researching like lots about clocks. And then I started talking to people on the internet about clocks. And I found this guy in Alibaba, and he was just too small. He couldn't build me a clock. So I just was like, whatever. Then I finally like got the courage up to kind of like go find somebody in America just to make a prototype. And I had this plan. I was going to do a Kickstarter. So for 12 months, I basically paid this guy every last dime I had in my retirement. I think I gave him 20 grand to build one clock.
Dang.
It's right up there, actually. And it still turns on and it still works.
Wow.
I don't know how, if I found some guy on the internet in Alabama, it was insane that it even works. But that one clock then gave me the ability to put it on Kickstarter, and I showed that it worked. And then we raised $63,000 in 30 days, basically through emailing coaches, the Twitter feed that had 4 years of tweets, and building relationships on the internet. And I think Ira Klein posted about it in the Swim Coaches Idea Exchange group on Facebook, which wasn't that big at that time, but was still a lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes from a coach like Ira. People just went into their own pockets and paid for it. I think if you watch the old Kickstarter video, if you're a coach, you're going to realize that like a coach invented this thing, right? Like the whole ethos of everything. Like we spoke to a coach because we are a coach. We spoke to the swimming community because we're a part of the swimming community. And I think that's why people believe that we could do it. And somehow we actually did it.
Wow.
So,
well, you say we, but primarily you. I mean, it's who else is there?
I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, we have a lot of, and we work with a lot of people from a lot of different countries, right? We have developers in China. We have engineers in India. We have people in Venezuela, Pakistan. We kind of got people kind of everywhere that do specific things. And I think what I found out was like, what is my actual job other than being the visionary person, right? Well, my job is to assemble the team. Like that's my most important job. I failed at that over and over and over again. But now I've, through trial and error and hiring bad people and then finding the good people, I've built the team that could build all this stuff that we've been building. So I say we, but it's not me. I don't know how to code at all, you know?
So what are the factors here? There's coding, there's building the clock itself. How many different areas are there within the business?
Yeah. So you have to be able to code the firmware that's inside of the microcontroller that's inside of the clocks.
Right.
So that's one specific part of it. Then you got to have the mobile app, which is both iOS and Android. Of course, we have our own websites. We have to buy, e-commerce website, that sort of thing. So, and then we have our manufacturer who's in Hangzhou, who's my boy Otto. He makes all the clocks for Rogue Fitness. We kind of like grew with him. Oddly enough, like after the Kickstarter, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where we were going to make them. I didn't even know if we could make them for what we sold them for, to be honest with you. I had talked to this guy, Otto, on Alibaba like years before about making me a clock, and he was just too small. And finally, after that Kickstarter, I'm not even kidding, like 3 days later, I just get a random email from him like saying, yeah, like, hey, what's up, man? Just wanted to check in, see how everything's going, if you were still going to make a clock or not.
Wow.
And that follow-up from 18 months, prior was like, boom, I just bought a plane ticket immediately. And I flew to China, to a city I'd never been to. I got picked up in a car from a guy I never met. I slept the whole entire car ride from Shanghai to Hangzhou because I, flew around the world. And I remember waking up and thinking like, man, I don't even know this guy. I just slept in his car for 3 hours. Could have just taken me anywhere.
You told me a story too about a chance meeting somewhere in China.
Yeah, so that same trip, I almost always I love Airbnb since it came out. And Hangzhou has 10 million people in it, okay?
10 million. It's about the size of what, New York?
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. It's just ridiculously big.
Yeah.
And so I pull up Airbnb, and inside of Hangzhou, there's one apartment. And I'm like, well, I'm getting it. It's the only choice. This is easy. So I booked the dates, right? And I send it to Otto. And I'm like, hey, here's the address. I've got no idea if this is close to you. I can't tell if it's close to you, but I'll make it work. And if it's not, it's so inexpensive. Like I'm out $100 or something, $150 for the whole week. So it's just so cheap. And he messages me back and he's like, dude, I don't understand, man. Like you can't be staying here. I'm like, pretty sure that's the address she gave to me. And I resent it again. He was like, this is my address. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, this is literally the address of this one skyscraper, of this one building, of multiple skyscrapers. It's the apartment 11 feet down from his apartment. It's literally, if you were in a hotel room, it's like 406 and 407.
Oh my God.
And so this 21-year-old architect that lived by herself right next door, she was the only person in the entire city of Hangzhou that had an Airbnb, and it was 12 feet away from Otto's, literally like his house, like his apartment where he lived with his family. So I woke up every morning and I just like walked 11 feet and I knocked on the door at 7:30 and they let me in and they'd cook me breakfast and we'd have tea and we'd get the play with the baby. And then
that's the dumbest story I've ever heard. It's not
crazy.
Real life.
It's not. It wasn't. Wow. Yeah.
So madness.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's fate.
My mom says it happens for a reason, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you start building this clock and you start putting it out, I guess. I mean, what year was this that you start actually selling your first clocks?
So 2016 Olympics, we do the Kickstarter. August 8th was, I think it started. September 8th, it finished. We delivered the first batch of clocks September or October of 2017. So that was the first batch of clocks over 4 years ago now. So if you got a Kickstarter clock, you bought it, it's been on your deck for over 4 years.
Wow. And they're still kicking, eh? So what's the major differences or what's just the features of your clock as opposed to some of your competitors, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows we cut the cost of a nice digital clock like in half, you know. So that was the biggest thing. I wanted to make digital clocks affordable for any swim team, regardless, not just big fancy swim teams. Um, and other than that, it connects to a mobile app, you know, via Bluetooth, so you can program anything you want pretty much into it. 10 100s on 31, whatever, you know.
Super simple.
Yeah, super simple. And of course, like we made the color of the clocks the complete opposite of everybody else's clocks. Everyone makes red clocks, and now everybody after 5 years, like they know, oh, it's a green clock, it's a Swimnerd clock. And so that was that's a defining feature. But there's lots of little features too that I think are really cool that are different. Like the colon blinks at a half of a second. So when you come into the wall and you're doing 50s pace, you know if you went 31 low or 31 high. And that sounds so dumb, but I'm telling you, like I use it. I swim. My master's team uses our own clocks, you know, like it's that little feature is a nice, cute little feature, you know? So there's a lot of little things like that.
It's good that you can see your clock from a massive distance. How'd you come up with the green itself?
Well, I didn't want red, and I was trying to get the most visible color. And actually, at first, I was going to go with blue. And you know who DM'd me was Tom Rushton. Tom Rushton was like, "Dude, do not make a blue clock, bro." And I was like, "Why not?" He's like, "They're bad for your eyes. It strains your eyes." And I was like, then I learned all about how that, you know, blue light, you know, it's not good for your eyeballs.
How did he know that you were thinking about blue?
I don't know. Maybe I tweeted something out. I mean, I did have one blue clock at the very beginning, you know, that we like showed off, but I don't think it was in the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter clock is red. I mean, everything, we're still making it better, you know. Nothing's ever perfect. I think that's the other thing I've learned is just launch. If you got something, just go for it.
Yeah, just make it better as it goes.
Yeah, you will make it better as it goes. How much better has this show gotten?
Yeah,
I mean, I just made that montage from this year to last year, and I just like laughed at the first one. I mean, the quality is so bad.
Yeah.
Like the sound is bad, the video is bad, I mean, everything's about it. It's not that good.
Yeah.
And now, like, obviously, like we've done a lot more other than just interviews. We've done live streams, we've done live swim meets, we've done live inter squad meets. We've done all sorts of weird little things. So
I'm sure there was a couple of years there where you sat up at night thinking about how to make your pace clock better. Do you still have those visions every day?
I think I have visions of all the other stuff that we're doing. Right. I mean, I've taken every dime we've ever made and put it back into the business.
Yeah.
We've never really actually you know, no one's ever made any profit yet because we just keep. Now we got this virtual scoreboard. And if you have a swim meet and you have a Daktronics or you have a Colorado 5 or 6 or you use a SST and you don't have this, you should get it because it's the best thing that's ever happened to swim meets since the timing system. I'm telling you, it is amazing. And the analytics tell us that it's amazing because your audience, we're just trying to get people into swimming as easy as possible with no friction. So if you're hosting a swim meet at Auburn, we want your people to be able to get those live results that we want them to know who's swimming and what their times are. And we can put it on a video, or you can just put it on a website. You can have a digital interactive heat sheet that's just running live.
Wow.
Instead
So
of paying,
where do people find that?
that's on our website at swimpractice.com. It's called Swimnerd Live. You can turn any television into a scoreboard. So some teams are just buying televisions and they're hanging them up everywhere, or they're putting them in a 3x3 matrix or a 2x2 matrix, or they're putting projectors up or whatever. People are doing all sorts of different things. It's really interesting. You know, it seems like people that are outside we've sold a lot of those, I think, because scoreboards outside tend to be not as fancy. You know, a lot of these swimming
Right.
scoreboards, they don't even have the names. They just have like the lanes and the times, and that's it.
Right.
So we provide it all. And it's just everyone can just go to a website, boom, it's on their phone. And then we built an advertising platform on top because look, the goal of Swimnerd has always been to kind of like decentralize, or I would say democratize swimming, right? The best as we can. Right now, like Meet Mobile, it's $5, $5 for grandma, $5 for your brother, $5 for the coach, $5 for the official to get in to look at results that happened after the fact, right? That's a barrier of entry to a youth rec sport for the most part. I don't want that in the sport. I want one click, boom, I'm watching the swim meet. We continue to put barriers around the sport, and that's not what I'm into. I want it to be frictionless.
And we highlighted this. We used it ourselves at the Virginia inter squad meet.
That's correct.
That was cool.
Yep.
It
So
was useful for us because we weren't allowed to.
We couldn't show the actual swimming.
Yeah.
You know, then that's one of the problems with these top tier schools, right? UVA can't show their swim meets. Even if they wanted to, they're not allowed to. Right. So no one can even watch them swim. It's
because they have deals with networks.
Right. So
primarily kind of football or basketball deals, but they spill over into swimming.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, but all these other schools, these small schools, they don't have those issues. Boom. They're just now they can make it a very professional. They can put their logos on there. They can put their team colors on there. They can put it at the top. They can put it in the bottom. They can put that scoreboard wherever they want. And then they control the eyeballs. They control the eyeballs on YouTube. They control the eyeballs on swimnerd.live. They can run all their own advertisements. We don't take any money. It's for the swim teams.
And this is not just America. This is worldwide.
Yeah. It just depends on what meet software you're using, right? It's compatible with Meet Manager, and it's compatible with Team Unify, and it's compatible with SportSys in the UK now. So if you're using any of those, then you can use Swimnerd Live. Yeah. So.
And then where did this idea of the mini clock come in?
Oh, that was
coming
Felipe.
out this Christmas.
I mean, Felipe Lima. He was the one that, he was the one that really pushed me to make a small one.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of times we get questions like, hey, like, what other size clocks do you have? We've only had one clock, you know? And so, yeah, we made a tiny clock. It's 6 digits. It's got a waterproof case. It's inside the house, but they ship tomorrow. They leave the factory tomorrow. Yep. So we're late. We're story of my life. I know we're a couple weeks late, but
people are excited about these ones because they're portable. I mean, you can just basically, as a master swimmer or just a your daily lunch swimmer, whatever it is, you take your own pace clock, you set it up, you go. You don't have to worry about what pool you're at, who you're interfering with, not being able to see the clock, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you travel a lot, it's perfect. Look, it's not for everyone, right? Like a lot of people are, you get feedback when you run advertisements on Facebook. Trust me. Like people saying like, this costs too much money. Well, it doesn't, because if you knew what it cost me, you wouldn't think that,
Who's saying $100 for a pace clock's too expensive?
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But we get it's good. I think
is it programmable as well?
Yeah, it's programmable. Yep. So we've had coaches buy like 8 of them, 12 of them, right? I think everyone thinks that this is just for like the triathlete or master swimmer or whatever. Man, I think it's great for any swim team. If you have a distance lane and you want to do some super creative distance sets, boom, there you go. There's that little clock for that one lane.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. I've used it like pretty much every single practice for the last month or month and a half, to really utilize it with my little masters team. we get to try everything out first, and it's pretty fun, man. I think it's going to be better than I thought, actually.
Who handles customer service, man? Like who does that for you?
That's customer service is mostly me. And
Wow.
the reason I say that is because customer service is also sales, in my opinion. You know, like this is my reputation. This is like what I built the whole business on, is being open. Like my cell phone's been on the website since day one. My email's on the website. It's on every single page on the website. I want you to call me, right? You might have a pace clock problem that you need help with. And then at the same time, you never heard that I had a virtual scoreboard and you have a CTS 6, and man, this would really make your swimming experience a lot better, because for COVID, you know, you can't even have spectators.
Right.
So I think the customer service, if you read the reviews, I hope there's nobody out there that ever says like, man, this guy didn't return my phone call. He didn't return my email. No, that's not us. The goal is to return that email when you have a problem back as fast as we can. Once you've sent that email and we've received it, there's like a countdown timer for us. You know, the faster we can respond, the faster you're going to be happy. And we hear the same stuff in swimming, right? We have the worst customer service because, in my humble opinion, a lot of these companies that are very, very large, that own a lot of the stuff that's inside of the sport, they have a monopoly on it, and they just don't care that much.
And what about this? I mean, you're sitting in your garage right now, right? Isn't that where a lot of the pace clocks get delivered?
Oh yeah. We have a pretty big storage unit down the road where almost all the inventory is, and then we have like a little staging area over here.
Gotcha.
A very messy table right now. I just kind of converted this entire garage, put the lights up, I put carpet in here, put this giant industrial heater in here because we had a second kid. So you know, it's perfect.
It's running your own business. It's what it is.
Perfect right now. Yeah, it is good. It's been just fine.
Now, what about the story of you and I? I think a lot of people have kind of wondered how we connected. Tell us your side of the story.
I think we were just at ASCA together.
We were. That was the first meeting. I got a girl trying to annoy me right now from behind, so I'm just going to ignore her. But
is that the dog?
No, I think it's my daughter. I think she's crawled behind me trying to get my attention.
That's even funnier. Yeah, we met in Dallas at ASCA.
We met in Dallas at ASCA. Yeah.
The Coco took over.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't even remember how we really ran into each other. But we had lunch, me, you, and David, and I think we had lunch with Coleman too.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Yeah, you're right. I remember that place. That's right. And we just kind of hit it off. And so then I guess I was thinking about doing a podcast, and I was thinking to myself, I can't handle I wanted a partner. I wanted somebody to do it, basically. So I called you up, and I was like, hey, would you be interested in doing a podcast? And from my memory, you were like, hey, I've already tried that. I don't really want to be the face of a podcast. I would love to do a podcast, but I want to be more behind the scenes. I think you should be the face of it, and I could be kind of the producer, you know, type person.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of the way we kind of agreed at first, right?
Yeah, I think you just texted me like, do you want to do a podcast together? And I was just like, yep, 100%. Like I love podcasts. I'm like a podcast junkie.
You still got that text? We should keep that text.
It's in a Swim advertisement somewhere. I'm not even kidding.
We need to pull it up. We need to get a copy of that text.
So, yeah, I think it's been a beautiful relationship, to be honest with you, because swimming it's a funny community, right? Like the first thing people want to know is like, are you even a swimmer? Do you have any sort of accolades? How fast were you?
Yeah.
it's not that I think that I couldn't have done it. I just think that it would always come better off coming from someone that had reached the highest levels of the sport already, not only as an athlete, but as a coach. And at multiple levels too, like obviously like the Olympics and then all the college experience. So, yeah, I don't mind being in front of the camera, right? I've been making videos forever. Um, so I think that's why it was a good match. I already kind of knew what I was doing a little bit.
But I also think that we push each other. First of all, I work hard because you work hard, and vice versa. You know,
Yeah, 100%.
you see me doing what I'm doing, and you wake up to a new podcast that's like, oh, you just recorded that at 2 a.m. and then I see you working all day on putting it together, and then the way you produce it, it's like, oh man, he really outdid himself. I got to go harder. And so it's like we work off each other, we work with each other. I think our communication is good. We're constantly talking to each other. But I think where I've noticed a couple of our competitors not so much go wrong, but have really run into a roadblock is they try and do it all themselves. And I think that the beauty of what we did up front was I knew my role, you kind of knew your role. We developed it as we went, but it was like, all right, that's your side of the business, this is my side of the business, and let's just grow it. And we worked with each other in our strengths. And I think that's where people kind of run into some roadblocks is they try and do it all themselves and they become overwhelmed. And there's a lot to it that people don't
Yeah, I mean,
understand.
it's easy to be overwhelmed. I mean, I feel like you email me like once a week with something new that like, hey, should we look into this?
Mm.
'Cause there's always something else. There's another software that might help you. There's another whatever. I mean, you got hardware issues, you got software issues, then you got to distribute it all, right? So you got to have your social media outlets because that's how you push the content. You got to have a nice email list, right? Typically that helps. So yeah, there's quite a bit that goes into it.
Well, the thing that the problem we're having right now is we have so much content and just getting through the quality of it. There's so much good stuff that we have that we haven't really cut up and distributed the way we could have, little clips of really good content. If we have a podcast that goes for an hour, there's probably 3 or 4 clips in there that we could just chop up and people would really connect with. We just haven't had the time and energy to go through it and clip it up properly.
Yeah, well it's it's a time it's not only is it time consuming, but you have to understand swimming. You can't just ask somebody off the street to be like, "Hey, could you pick out the best parts of this interview with Jocko Verheeren
Yeah.
and surprise me?" It's not
Yeah.
gonna. I feel like that's not gonna work very well. But yeah, it's we need um we need a little more help.
Yeah, we'll get there. We're getting there. We're growing just like the business. And I think the Swimnerd business is growing with the Inside with Brett Hawke business. It's kind of hand in hand, which is great. I want your business to explode. I want you to be able to hire people to come in and work with you in your other side of the business, the swim clock business, so
Yeah.
that, yeah. So I think it's in that respect, it's good. We do have some partners for 2021 that are exciting. Some new announcements that we can make later on, and some people that are very interested in partnering with us, which is cool. So I think things are progressing, man. Eventually, we'll have kind of some shirts that will, some stuff we can put out there for sale as well. That some merchandise. That's what
And
we
that's like
call it.
one other thing that's been on the list forever that's, down on the list. It's just more time making those
Yeah.
little graphics and making sure they're good and putting them
Yep.
on the shirt and uploading this and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, man. I'm excited, dude. It's like I said earlier, like we just continue to innovate. And all I do is think about innovating. I told you that yesterday too. Like
Yeah.
everyone I didn't say that in jest. I just said that because like that was my thought at the moment, right? Like it's the time of the year where you start thinking about New Year's resolutions and you look back at the year and stuff, and you always want to look forward. But man, I'm always looking forward. I'm always looking to like what else can we do that. To me, the biggest question is what helps the sport the most.
Yeah.
And I think what we've done, the most important thing that we've done is like swim coach education. There hasn't been anything like this.
Mm-mm.
This is the gold standard of swim coaching, professional development for free.
Yeah.
Listening to the very, very best of the sport, not just coaches, but the athletes themselves. And I just like, if you can't learn from every episode, you're not listening to it.
Yeah, well, there's, in that, there's a couple of other people I'd like to mention. Adrian Crawford, who has come on board from South Africa and kind of helped the podcast grow, but by the things that he's doing, you know, we put those out, and we're trying to work together.
Every single episode
Promotes everything, man.
You know,
Sonny Trigg, Sonny, the swimsuit guy, has come on board, and you know, we've helped him. He's helped us. It's kind of been a match made in heaven. People love him. He's so, you know, funny and charismatic, and just knows swimming. He's another swim nerd. So
exactly.
Get on the swimsuit guy for sure.
Yeah, there's all these. I mean, if you watch the live show, that's who the people that come on, or the other people on the internet, you know, making content that's unbelievable for swimming.
Yeah.
Right.
We've had some good people come on and partner with us. So we want to continue to look for people like that in the swimming community. So if you're one of those people making content and doing something for the swimming community out there, you know, reach out to us. You know, your story is kind of like a story that we just told recently. Rolanda Gambutis, you know, the Aquavolo started the drag socks, you know, incredible kind of, you know, small business. Chuck Destro, you know, we told his story. It's just, you know, your story is similar. It's like, and Chuck said the same thing. Just try it, just start it, you know, just get it going. It's not going to be exactly where it'll be 3 years from now, but you got to start somewhere. And these guys are small business owners doing fantastic things. So you're very similar in that respect. So it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I love learning about all these people that are making swimming better. Ultimately, right? These products are better products, more innovative products, less expensive products a lot of the time. That's what the sport needs. Yeah, we need more little small businesses coming in here and doing things.
Yeah.
So
cool. Well, anyone that's got to the end of this podcast, we thank you. You're obviously a swim nerd just like us. We appreciate your time, your energy that you put into us. Hopefully we can continue to grow with you and learn and push out content that you want to see. If you guys have suggestions, please, you know, always feel free to reach out to us. We want information. We want to know where you want us to go. We want to know
just DM
how you want us to grow. Yeah. DM us, email, whatever it is.
And
jump on the live show.
We're gonna put together a little survey, I think, this year. Didn't we do last year? We'll do another one. We got some pretty good feedback the last time around, and I expect we'll get a lot more feedback this time because, well, it's grown. You know, we 4x'd in a single year, which is pretty amazing. So hopefully, here's to another 4x in 2022.
All right, Nate, you're an awesome partner, man.
Hey, Brett,
love
thanks,
doing it
man.
with you. All right,
I love you, buddy.
Later,
See ya.
man.